what's up? And welcome to my lovely city garden. It's May 26th. Thanks for joining me to see what's going on this day. So it's May 26th, Memorial Day. Here's our lettuce bed. Some morning glory. Still trying to catch on. I have marigolds that are dying to get in the ground. They're going in today. A little bit of mustard I never got in. This is some potted lettuce that I did. Looks like the flies like that. Most of this is all peppers, all different types of bell peppers. Some basil in there. They've been out here hardening up for a while. Some of them look good, some of them are got a little bit of sunburned, but that's okay. Once they're in the ground, they're going to do better. Carrots that I potted up into this bin. We have morning glory on both sides of the fence. This one's doing great. It's getting up there, exactly what I want it to do. And there's one on the outside. I have some pea pods in pots, which they grew up pretty good, but then they didn't really do well to the end here. But we'll see what happens. I have a bunch planted down in here. Bunch of different types of peas, and they're all coming up. I gotta get some of that grass out of there. And there's this trellis system that I worked out. They'll go up there. Some will go directly to the fence. Some will head onto the trellis first. Okay. This is the first stuff that I planted outside. A couple of Brussels sprouts in pots. Again, that's one of the peas that I did inside my inside experiment. They kind of got stunted. But now that they're out in the warmth, maybe they'll come up. Okay, so it looks like something's eating my Brussels sprouts in the ground. So maybe I'll need to put some snail traps out, something like that. We'll see what's going on. But I don't mind sharing. That's a little bit of Swiss chard right there. Another tiny baby one. And then these 1, 2, 3 are broccoli. I left some space to put some broccoli plants that I've had still growing up in the house, but I haven't gotten them out here. Looks like a lot of my Swiss chard is getting eaten up too. Oh, we'll see what happens. Not too worried about it. First year growing that outside. Here's my kale, looking great. I could even eat some of this kale now. This kale is one of those plants that you harvest, keep harvesting, and it'll keep growing. We have one kale back there that did not do well. Looks like I have 1 or 2 beans coming through. They were planted around these 2 poles, pole beans. And then there's some mustard. I have a zucchini here. I might have planted out too early, but I think it's doing great. I'm not worried about it. And then I have a one to grow next. Tana. Hi. Hi, bud. How you doing? Okay. Here's another morning glory I have growing in a pot to go up the fence, and it's doing its job. It already is up to here. These two had a tough start, and I had a second pot underneath, and something kept going in there and eating them, making a mess. Okay, now my tomatoes have been hardening up out here. They still have some growing to do. I have them all separated by their height, not necessarily by their type when I put them into these crates. We had some cold nights and I had to cover them up, but they're doing excellent, and I want to get them in the ground today. So we're going to see what we get to. Finish cleaning up the rest of this with all of my random stuff everywhere, and see what we can get planted out today on Memorial Day. This yard gets a bunch of shade until, well, it's early in the morning now. Well, not too early, but it's going to have some shade for a while. So I'm hoping to get some stuff in the planted without hurting them. Because if you plant in the middle of the day where the sun is super hot, the plants might not like it because they're not used to it. But I have so many. I think we're gonna have to get started at some point. I think they're gonna be fine. They're New Englanders, they're tough like me. I have some morning glory out here in a bucket because we had a big windstorm the other day. And these haven't been planted out yet. But this piece decided it wanted to go onto this pole. Oh, nature's amazing. We'll get you in something today. So I have so much to do. I want to start somewhere. I got this other little zucchini in the ground. I didn't film it because I just want to get things started. But I'm going to also put over here a couple of marigolds and a nasturtium. Since the sun got here faster than I thought, because of course the days go by so fast. I just planted that this morning and the sun just hit there, so I decided to put this stool around it to shade it from the sun for the day. No one wants to get mad at me. Same thing with that nasturtium I just planted. I think I'll make sure that gets covered as well. Just so it doesn't get mad. There we go. I keep finding new ways to use these old trays. I'm going to use them in my next project. Try to grow some corn. So historically I have had the worst luck with our corn. This year I'm going to try something else. I'm going to sow some seeds, wait a week, sow a few more. That way, if it does work, I don't get my harvest all at the same time. Once I plant the seeds, cover them with some of these trays, and hopefully the creatures don't get in there and take them, because that's one of the problems that I usually have. I try to sow a bunch of seeds, and then what happens is half of them get taken by a squirrel or a bird. So I'm hoping that if I cover them with one of these trays, I'll wait a little bit, keep checking them to make sure that the seedlings aren't coming up so the tray doesn't mess with them. But I'm going to try to plant them right over here after all of my brassicas. So let's see what happens. Okay, so here's what we're going to be growing. Sweet corn. Called Jackpot Hybrid. So it says a depth 1.5 inches, spacing 3 feet by 12 inches. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm going to be sewing them a little bit closer together and see what pops up. Keep the ones that look good. Okay, so I got everything all planted in, I got it all watered in, got it all covered. Hopefully we don't hear any popcorn soon. No, it's not that hot. And it's not oil, so no problem. Anyway, the idea, if I didn't mention before, the idea is to keep the moisture in because it's a really hot day while the seeds try to germinate, and also to protect them from the animals like squirrels and birds that like to grab the seeds when I plant outside. I don't do a lot of direct sowing. Most of my seeds are done in advance, but corn, they say you shouldn't do that because it doesn't transplant well, so I've always just done them right outside. So we'll see. One more experiment, one more year trying corn. Hopefully this is the year, 2025. Yummy corn. It's starting to get really hot, and as parts of the garden get into the sun, it's getting to be a bit much. So you don't want to plant your seedlings when it's too warm and too hot and too much sun, because you don't want them to get shocked. So for the tomatoes and some of the peppers, I'm not sure I was going to get to the peppers today anyway, but I wanted to try to get some of the tomatoes in. I'm going to wait till later in the day when it cools off, because I definitely know the sun's going to be getting onto that side of the garden. Down here is where they're going soon. And again, I don't want to shock them. They already had some crazy nights out here. Didn't think it was going to get too cold, but it got cold, but I had them covered. They're fine. But I don't want to mess with them too much, because I have so many varieties of peppers and tomatoes. I really don't want to kill them. Still so much to do, but so much done. Today was a good day. Thanks for joining me in my garden for my Memorial Day tour, and thank you all who serve our country, but today especially to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice.